everyone. Welcome to VCTV. So this is the first episode of VCTV before the 8 p.m. show. As you know, we are having two shows in a day for the VCTV Asia. And welcome back, Rishabh and Gary. Today we are going to discuss on a very new topic which has not been discussed on at least on VCTV Asia, which is about investments in insurance and InsurTech, and how can the technologies like a blockchain and AI can play a vital role in making it more efficient, especially in the claims processing, fraud detection, and so on and so forth. So VCTV, as all you know, is the venture capital TV from La Token. VCTV was born in February 2020, and the idea behind VCTV was to connect startups, founders, and investors under one roof. Because of the social distancing and physical distancing, no travels, we were all locked down in our countries, but the investors needed to talk to startups and the startups needed to talk to investors to keep it business as usual. So hence VCTV was born. And since then, we have actually come a long way in the sense we now have a community of investors who come back very regularly on our panels to share their insights and ideas and give ideas to the startups and founders who are looking for funding. Similarly, the founders and startups obviously come back with their pitching sessions. On some of our sessions where they solely pitch before the investors. So this idea has grown and obviously is showing results. Again, I say VCTV is because of our speakers. So today I want to introduce someone who is going to be co-hosting, co-moderating this session with me. He's just joined La Token. His name is Terence Duncan. Hi, Terence. Welcome to VCTV.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, thank you, Sonny. So I'm Terence, and I'm also looking at the Asian region specifically as well. So the whole idea of me joining on board is to, let's say, moderate and make this fun. So let's go ahead with that then.
Absolutely. And thank you, Terence. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun with you coming with the energy levels. Thank you. So Gary and Rishabh, okay, we all set with the introductions about VCTV. We would like now to move to you with your introductions. I'm sure all of viewers already know Gary because he's like almost every day on VCTV. Gary, welcome back and good morning. Is it good morning over there? Is it good evening over there?
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Right.
I was up at 4. It was at 5:30, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Irina just messaged me that she's coming later on. It's going to be 5 a.m. for her as well. I was like, wow. I mean, I really love the kind of passion you have for VCTV.
Yeah, Gary, sure, absolutely. Here we are. Now I got some energy in the morning. It's like a really strong espresso.
Ooh, right. Great, Gary. Always lovely to see you on our shows because I learn a lot. So I have to be very honest. I learn a lot from you. So similarly, our viewers and the founders who are looking for help also benefit from your insights. Can you please introduce yourself and we start on the topic after that?
Yeah. So my name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done 16 companies. 2 unicorns. Seems like a Christmas song, in a partridge in a pear tree. But so I love AI. I've written now closing in on 90 articles on AI in the last year. And I just wrote one on 5G. And actually my next one tomorrow's on security and artificial intelligence. So, AI is the new electricity. Data is the fuel, and 5G is the turbocharger to move it forward. So each and every one of us have a great opportunity now through this digital transformation. I talk to companies all over the world every day. And last week I was with 40 of some of the richest people in Europe, and we were talking about the digital transformation and how, as the founders of companies, they can survive. And I think that, now is the greatest time. Because if we embrace it, we can win. And you got to run as fast as you can right now to be able to embrace it across the board, whether it's blockchain in insurance tech or healthcare or whatever. I mean, you just need to move forward. The people that sit on their hands, my speech last week was do or die. So you either do it or you fall behind.
Right. Absolutely.
So anyhow, that's me. So I am also the president and CEO of GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios. I started two of the top accelerators on the planet. One is Skolkovo Startup Academy. Another one's GVA, Launch Gurus. But GSDVS, we curate companies to help them. So they call us unicorn breeders. And that's what we do. We have a team that comes in and helps those companies go global. And we particularly are interested in AI companies from any region. We have companies that work with us from Germany, from Indonesia today, et cetera. So we love them.
Right. Awesome. Fantastic, Gary. And welcome to VCTV again on a new topic that we're going to be discussing and sharing knowledge in this panel. So thank you. Rishabh, welcome back after a long break. How are you? How are things with you and what's happening?
Yeah, so thank you, Sonny, for inviting me again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is watching this show from any part of the world. And great to know Gary. Great to know you, Gary. I've been following your investment, and it's great to have you being a part of a panel on the same panel that you're talking on. So things are pretty great, Sonny. I mean, blockchain investments are on the spur. The adoption is on a spur, and in the Indian ecosystem, I mean, our primary focus, it's going great, and the real mass adoption is great. The DeFi space is growing like anything. Multiple protocols are coming up, and it's a lot of excitement these days. Having evaluating multiple ventures every day. So when I open my emails, I see a lot of pitch decks and investment proposals from a lot of companies talking about the way they are solving the problems that exist in the traditional industry and how they're implementing blockchain to solve these problems, be it lending, be it insurance. And today the topic is really interesting because this is the least talked about topic, and InsurTech is growing massively. And a lot of companies are not able to, are not working on it. And that's why it's in a very, very nascent stage. And you can count the number of companies that are working on the InsurTech space from blockchain. To come to my introduction to the people who have joined us, I work with OneX, which is a Dubai-based family office. We invest in early to growth stage companies, mostly with a token-only mandate. But yeah, I mean, because we are a family office, so we are free to do whatever we want. We invest mostly in the blockchain space itself, but our sister company in India invest into the deep technologies, AI, and brain-computer interface. A lot of we are sector agnostic basically when we talk about the Indian counterpart. Presently, we are actively investing into the DeFi space. We have partnered with TDFi. TDFi is an acceleration program for DeFi ventures. We are one of their investors, and they help the companies to scale up, not only invest, but they scale up and go massive. When we talk about regulatory compliances, the legal support, the PR and marketing. So that's our present state of work. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to discuss on this interesting topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishabh, and welcome back to VCTV. Again, as you rightly said, InsurTech is not mostly spoken about. That's why we decided to include this topic and specifically get speakers who have got expertise to share their insights. So the panel is going to be co-moderated by Terence. So me and Terence are going to switch between questions, and we go from there.
But I think sorry, but before we get in there, since everyone is in the mood of that introduction, I think for all our new viewers out there as well, and those who just clicked on the link, you're probably wondering, what is LaToken? So just to give you a quick background on LaToken itself and what we do as a company as a whole. So in essence, LaToken is actually a rapidly growing crypto exchange. Now we focus mainly on liquidity, and of course we look at new tokens as well. So these are new projects that we constantly help look at and even put out there for the rest of you to really come on board. And those are numbers and figures that you can come and get in touch with. So do visit our webpage and do look around as well. And this is part of it. Part of what we do is also we bring in investors, we bring in new faces, new people to come on board and really speak on topics that are actually quite important in our days today. So yeah, Sonny.
Excellent. Thank you, Terence, for adding those really valuable information for our speakers and our viewers. Thank you so much. Yeah. Fabulous. So Gary, so insurance, tell me, what are the current trends in terms of investments, technology? What's happening in insurance? What's happening in InsurTech? Let's start.
Well, I mean, it's going down through this digital transformation. I mean, just think about it today. What are the challenges that insurance companies have, right? Fraud. So they estimate that 10% of claims with insurance companies are flawed. And then we look at, where are the challenges? The challenge is speed, right? How to get, it's really across the board, how to get the information out faster. Just in the US, it was rated that the FBI said that there's about $40 billion in fraud in the insurance industry. Those are some of the things that we need to have. Then we've got AI, we've got blockchain, we've got chatbots, we've got a lot of emerging technologies that can have a profound impact. And everything is, today we've got this great intersection. And so the time to be able to help is better than we've ever seen before. And across it, whether it's health tech, I mean, of course, there are existing laws for personal data protection, but the challenge is we need to make our system much, much more efficient than we have before. So we've got to increase trust, we've got to increase claims processing, smart contracts, and of course, we got to enhance efficiency. All those things are doable today. In fact, it's, as I said, I just did a presentation to large insurance companies last week, and one of the things they said is, the name of my presentation was Do or Die. And and that's really where we are. So I see that, think about this. This is just one scenario. I had this from the head of one of the largest insurance companies in the world. He said, automotive insurance today, you get it, you pay on a monthly basis, but why don't you pay based on how you drive? So if they put a system on your car that talks about your speed, how you brake, et cetera, and you can get discounts, would you do that, right? Would you allow that to be intrusive? So those kind of questions are coming up. But then on the other side of it, look at where the future is going to be. The future is with driverless cars, right? And how much is insurance going to cost for an individual going forward? So these companies need to start morphing. I just saw this incredible Magna is a company out of Austria, and I happen to know one of the top executives there, and invited me to see their newest car that they're building. And they build the Z4, and they also build the Toyota Supra in Graz. And he showed me this incredible car that's completely configurable. So this car would come in, let's say it wants to pick you up at the Singapore airport. Mm-hmm. It configures itself based on your family. So, your husband or boyfriend and your daughter, et cetera, but it will configure itself for a 3-passenger car with some luggage. But then it goes to pick up flowers. So imagine the challenges insurance companies have, right? So now we've got driverless cars, but what about drivers that have higher risks? So these are the kind of questions we're going to start to see in the near term. The other thing with healthcare, a lot of it's based on, challenges. So preventative healthcare that looks at things like stem cells, et cetera. So how do we start looking at some of these innovative and new technologies? So literally across the board. Then the other thing is, going back to blockchain smart contracts. How do we make contracts smarter so that we can get them out faster? It's a pain to go in and file insurance claims. How do we make that entire process faster? So those are the kind of things that are coming. And this is happening very, very, very quickly. And I'm excited about it. And I like the fact that I did it yesterday. I was on this health site myself for insurance, and they had a chatbot there. And I really had fun just talking to the chatbot. I was asking it. I wanted to see what kind of questions I could really ask. It was a dental healthcare chatbot. And it was, hi, my name's Sally. But those are the kind of things that are going to happen. And as they start to get super smart, and they start, it's like it's incredible how the world is changing so quickly. Here we are on, Zoom, as we've talked about many times, but, these efficiencies that we have, we're so lucky, so blessed to be able to have these kind of technologies right in front of us to help. So, I mean, think about insurance tech. I can't come in the office anymore to be able to fill out a claim. It's unprecedented to be able to do it remote, right? It wasn't before. You had to go in the office. Now the situation, you have no choice if you can't get in. And a lot of places you can't go in. If you're in the UK or parts of Asia, you can't get in today, right? Or Mumbai. How do you get in an office? So now we've got to start relying on these technologies to keep us efficient and effective. And that's what's happening today. This is the dawn of a new generation. This is a sunrise coming up, and it's a bright day. And it's incredible about the kind of things that we're forced to do better and become efficient.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gary, for those introductory words about insurance and how efficient it has become because of the lack of, because of physical distancing and the pandemic.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, then you got artificial intelligence into the mix, so you can make it, now smarter. Then the situation is, think about this. You can predict. I mean, so if you go down through and you started to look at all the things you could pull on somebody, you could predict when they're going to get sick, right? Literally, you could start to pull information off, take Facebook, take LinkedIn, take a lot of data. You could start to forecast things. Well, wouldn't it be really good if I'm an insurance company to forecast how to prevent things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we can go down through. I have a company that's, this is my near unicorn status company called Eva. I can forecast if somebody's going to leave a company 9 months before they even think about it. So if I go into the company and look through all the data sources, I can forecast and help prevent it. Well, imagine if we could help prevent illnesses like that, right? It's very, very interesting. So anyhow, so insurance companies need to look at, they got to think differently. They can't think in a box anymore. They got to look outside of that box and figure out how we can be able to predict. We don't want a person to get sick. We want to keep them better all the time.
Absolutely. My memory of dealing with insurance companies when it comes to health insurance is big paper forms with like T's and C's, really, in really tiny letters, which I never read.
Yeah, exactly. That's the bad thing.
That needs to be changed. Absolutely.
As long as you're not buying a used car, it's okay.
Yeah. So those T's and C's in the small letters are the ones that need to be watched out for.
Well, no, the other thing is, imagine if they could be explained, right? So imagine if you have chatbots to make it pure and simple. You're right about that. That's where the challenges are. So, but I could also create artificial intelligence to be able to scan those, to be able to make it in plain language so I understand it. I mean, there's a dawn of a new, super smart, intelligent assistants could actually help you in those kind of things. They could read the contract for you and tell you if there's any issues with it.
Absolutely. And whenever I had this agent coming over and saying, okay, you just have to just sign, you don't have to read, I've done my due diligence. And I said, I need to understand what I'm signing on. I don't understand this language. This is so jargony.
Well, there you go. Exactly. And you're not alone. And the situation is to make it easier and better. So and imagine an intelligent assistant that could scan. This is not hard, right? I mean, with Eva, we can scan, hundreds of thousands of information, Slack, et cetera. So imagine if you could actually have an intelligent assistant could read those documents for you.
Absolutely.
And tell you if there are any potential issues you might want to take a look at. Those are the kind of things that are coming out today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gary. I'm with you on that. Please, somebody help us. Thank you, Gary. Rishabh, over to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, most of the points have been already covered by Gary, but I would like to add, a couple of points here. I was reading a very interesting analogy when we are comparing the traditional insurance companies today. So basically, people in the insurance companies are divided into two categories. One is the operational executives, and the second is the management, the coordinators, the decision makers, the claim assessors, right? And as the company grows, these non uh, executive people who are not working on grounds keeps on growing. So basically, the operational teams becomes the rim, and the area of that insurance company that keeps on growing exponentially as and when the company grows. And these are the people who are heavily paid. These are the people who are actually making the key decisions. And let's just assume for a moment that all of this, the trust, the transparency comes on blockchain. The cost reduction of the coordinator cost. Basically, this is nothing but a coordination cost. So you're coordinating between two people and you're being heavily paid, and these costs are coming out from the premiums paid by the people who are actually taking the insurance. Sometimes they don't even get the claims back. And when we all bring it to a blockchain, this whole cost is reduced to a very minimal cost. And blockchain helps in bringing a trust in the ecosystem and transparency. So now there is no information asymmetry. You can see what is happening for the claim that you processed, for the claim that you filled out the form for. I mean, recently and in India, we saw that how health insurance, various health insurance players played around with those small TNCs and didn't pay back the people who were paying huge amounts of money for their COVID treatment. That's a simple. If you look at it, it's as per the terms and conditions, it comes under the claims under the cost that had to be claimed. But the companies, they just refused to pay, and there was no answerability. Even though the Supreme Court intervened, even though a lot of people intervened, but there was a lot of people didn't get the claims back. And the reason for that is because the people who are deciding whether to pay out the claim are the people who belong to the insurance company, not to the people. So their appraisals are depending on how much they're able to save from that claims, right? And
Right.
let's assume that this whole decision-making process goes to a third party, which is neither from that has an independence from the insurance company. Now the claims will be processed in a trustworthy manner, and the whole insurance company will become a more trustworthy. How the insurance company is using the funds that is paid as a premiums to invest in whichever investment vehicle they want, they are misusing it. And we have seen how insurance companies have failed in the past. And these decisions have to be taken by people who are independent of the companies, and that's where blockchain comes in. I mean,
Right.
and the other part of blockchain insurance is, I would like to know your opinion on this, Gary. That blockchain and insurance divided into again two segments. One is the mass adoption, that is the health insurance, the automotive insurance, and second is related to blockchain, the smart cover insurance, right? We have seen how the Dow attacks was like pulled out millions of dollars in 2016 just because of a smart contract bug. And a company known as Nexus Mutual, Etherisk, they are working on developing insurances for these smart contracts. And I was surprised to know that within on June, somewhere around June, mid-June, the cover amount in Nexus Mutual was close to $5 million. And that today the amount is close to somewhere around $44 million. Just, a 4 months time period, and it has grown exponentially. And this shows that the traders, the people who are actually actively working on the blockchains, on the smart contracts, as the lending and these borrowing platforms are coming up, they want their smart contract risk to be covered. And that's where the blockchain insurance is growing. But we still need a lot of mass adoption. We still need insurance application of blockchain for insurances among the real masses, for health insurances, for automotive insurances, for life insurance, for property insurance. That gap is still there, and I think the gap can only be filled when there is awareness in the real masses, when they know that this kind of ecosystem exists. They can actually get their claims back. They can actually look at the processing of the whole information. They can look at the information without those T's and C's. There is a smart contract which is executing, not a particular person sitting behind a computer and deciding, okay, this person looks good. Let's give the claim. No, this person doesn't look. They do not have those resources. Let's not give out the claims. So that's how these claims are being processed, and that's I think where there's a huge scope of opportunities for companies to come up with products. using AI as, it was a very interesting example, Gary, that how a driver's attitude towards driving can actually be a parameter in deciding the premium they pay. And using AI and then combining it with blockchain, if a product can be built, and I think Nexus Mutual, and there's a company called EtherRisk. I've been tracking EtherRisk for a long time, and they have been performing exceptionally well. They have formed a consortium with multiple insurance companies in the traditional sector to form a pool for bringing insurance on blockchain. And I think these are the kind of products that would be the pivots of investments in the blockchain insurance industry when it comes to investors who are looking for blockchain investments. Yeah.
Thanks for that, actually, Rishabh. I think the points that you brought up was definitely interesting as well. And you're right to say that adoption of the masses is really needed to actually get this industry in particular to kind of move forward. But for the sake of the viewers that are currently tuning in, and for those aspiring entrepreneurs out there as well, since you are in that investment space, you are in that VC space. Now, tell us a bit on the money bit. Where do you see the money going to, and how are you actually selecting these companies, let's say, and to help them kind of grow, to help them really be bold and go global out there? What are you looking for with regards to these companies in all these areas?
Sure. I mean, that's quite an interesting question. I think that really needs to be answered to the people who are, planning to build up these products and going out for the investments. So, as I mentioned during the introduction, that we invest in early to growth stage companies and we help them scale up. So, what we look for, and I also mentioned this to Sonny in our last meet, if I remember correctly, that what we look out for when we go for investments is how has the team built the product. It's not about are you thinking out of the box. What it's for us, it's about, is the team capable enough, is the team honest enough to build a solution which is adding value to the ecosystem, right? If they're honest enough to build with us and to work with us, that's one of the very essential parameters that we look out for. Then the second is, what problem are they trying to solve? Is it a problem which is already solved and they're just trying to copy that solution? And even if they're trying to copy it, so as Peter Thiel says, that make 0 to 1 and not 1 to n, right? So are they making 0 to 1 or are they making 1 to n? I mean, both have their implementations, but we like to work with founders who are making from 0 to 1. Whoever is coming up with a solution that is actually solving a real problem. So for example, the smart contract risk was a great problem for the industry, and a solution to this problem, we can see how the value, the cover amount has increased exponentially, and that's the kind of investments, that's the kind of the products that we look out for. We look out for, for example, I'll talk about Kasha here. So that's one of our recent investments, and we have been working with that company for almost 2 years. We have been, on and off. We have been working with the founders. We have been understanding their vision. And recently, we made a $5 million investment in Kasha as a Series A. If you look at the way they have been progressing, they have actually collaborated with a company called formed a joint venture called Unicast, which is bringing crypto to the physical branches of Indian banks. That's a move which is going to revolutionize this whole industry. And one of our investments is on, let's say, the DeFi, XBTC and DeFi network, which are building protocol on layer 2 protocols, which are actually trying to scale. So we know that how Ethereum, when we talk about DeFi space, the gas fees and the network congestion is a major problem. And then there has to be a solution to it. And Matic network, or for example, one of a layer 2 protocol or other layer 2 protocols provides this scalability solution. And then there comes a startup which is building a whole AMM exchange on this layer 2 protocol. Now that's a real solution to a real problem, and that's where we find a sweet spot. So these are the small points that we look out for. How well have they drafted their vision? How well they look out for in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. What is their vision? the product keeps on evolving. The product with which they started might not be the one that actually comes out after 1.5 years. It can be a completely different product. For example, Nexus Mutual started with something for actual insurance product, but the only thing they have been able to build for now is a smart contract for insurance. So the product keeps on evolving, but what's essential is the approach towards building that solution. So those are the few parameters that we look out for when we go for investments.
Gary, how about yourself?
I mean, the situation, it's Terrence, is keep it simple, stupid time, right? The number one thing is a team. Team. So when I'm looking at doing investments or looking at bringing a company into portfolio, the first thing I look at is a team. Why? Because you got to make sure that they're flexible, they're driven. Also, from my standpoint, when I'm investing, I look for revenue, because if they've got some revenue, and I call it the rule of threes, by the way, some revenue, the probability is they got some product market fit. So from my perspective, and I've written an article in Forbes magazine and also on Medium about this, it's Startup 3.0. Startup 1.0 is acceleration. Startup 2.0 is regional dominance. So whether in Singapore or Indonesia or India, they've got regional dominance. And each one of those has a hurdle. But Startup 3.0 is how to go global. Because now, especially, we probably got 1.5 years, 2 more years of this pandemic, realistically, and how to be able to succeed during this period of time. Well, some of the challenges are, how do I get to those people that can help me go global? It's a very small group of folks, right? We use Silicon Valley as a port to the rest of the world, because if I want to get money from Singapore or India or China or Israel, and I've raised money from all these different groups, or the UK or Europe, I raise it there, or Russia. So what we have to do is we have to figure out now, there are some challenges out there today, but the hope, the spirit, the great thing is that finally the VCs are starting to invest. We're investing. In fact, we've got companies from all over the world, actually, now in our portfolio, because I wrote another article in Forbes called The Democratization of Opportunity. Nikola Tesla's dream comes true. Now there's a very level playing field for all of us. All of us can share in this playing field if we're smart. So what do I look for, Terrence? I look for smart teams. The other thing is, one of the key pieces is, I want to make sure that the management team is flexible. And by that, as you know, through a Series A or Series B funding, the CEO may change and may be somebody entirely different at different stages of growth of the company. There aren't many Mark Zuckerbergs out there, or Elon Musk, right? Very few, actually. So you want to take it through, you want to find people that are flexible and open to change. If they're not, I don't invest in them. I don't want to work with them, because the probability is we're going to have challenges later when they feed the Peter principle. They're no longer able to do it. And so I'm looking for people that are flexible. And the other thing is, what I look at is I look for people that have a curiosity of a child, because as a child, you want to explore everything and you want to have questions answered. And I look for those kind of people. I also look for people that want to have some fun and have a full personality, not just focused in one direction. The other thing is, I look for the rule of threes, Terrence. The rule of threes, simple. I look for one person that's operations. I look for somebody that's charismatic to be able to get the message out and has some operational expertise, CEO type. I look for somebody that is operational, COO type. And then I look for a tech person that has the ability to, and rarely do you find one person that has all those characteristics, very rarely. And if you find a team that's in harmony, like a symphony orchestra, you hit the jackpot. So that's where it is. And the challenge is, there aren't a lot of people that have, you need to also make sure that you have, again, the rule of threes, advisors. And what kind of advisor do you have? Now, again, I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania, Terrence. So, I grew up on the side of a mountain with 1,000 people. I mean, Amish were on the other side, the Pennsylvania Dutch. So I'm a country boy. Right. But I remember when I was a kid, keep it simple. And so simple. So what do you look for? security and privacy are the biggest challenges, threats to all of us today. So you want to put an advisor on that's got a security background. I pick Rick Orloff, the former chief security officer at Apple and eBay. Why? Because he's got name brand recognition, and it's one less question you're going to have to answer. Step two, I look for somebody that has a background internationally in startups. For my choice, I find somebody like Bill Reichard, Guy Kawasaki's partner in Garage Technology Ventures, one of the most well-known venture capitalists in the world. He's on the board of my company now even. Then I look for the third. The third person is somebody who's got name brand recognition, has done something incredible literally today. So in my case, it was Nick Davidoff, who did Masquerade, sold it to Facebook in 4 months. And I did it because everybody knew him at the time, and it just really helps. So find somebody who's got name brand star recognition. And if you do these simple things, it's like, I don't know why we complicate it. I started the first accelerator in Russia personally. And I remember going through this and I said, this is like, I'm an entrepreneur, right? This is like, keep it simple. So people need to buy your product. Isn't this simple? Present the product. If they don't want to buy it, you got something wrong. If they do want to buy it, now it's called customer development. But then it was like, this is simple. Do you want to buy it or not? No, I don't like the way it looks. Okay, what do you like? I like a brown one of them. Okay, let me go back and see if we can change it. Or I don't like it because it's too slow, or it costs too much money. The other thing is you want to make sure. I just had a company come forward to me that over-engineers products. They never, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Too many perfectionists there, perhaps.
You know what I mean? Too many perfection. I just had a very interesting, I don't want to say large company, but medium company approached me. And they said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, what's the problem? He said, these guys, I better not say how many PhDs, because there aren't many people in the world that have as many as them. Let's say 3, but it's more than 3, right? So they over-engineer the product and they never stop. And they're spending so much money on making the best product. They have no customers, right?
No one takes it to market then.
Nobody takes it to market. So if you over-engineer it, and that's the engineering dilemma. The problem is what happens a lot of times, you over-engineer products when you shouldn't do that. So if you got an insurance tech product, make sure you can go out to some of the largest insurance companies in the world and ask them if they're willing to buy it, or get one of them on your board of advisors so they can kind of guide you.
Makes sense.
And if they don't do that, Terrence, I look at it, and if they don't go by these simple rules, simple stuff, then I am not going to invest time and money. Seriously. I just had a situation occur in this kind of environment where the person gave me their documentation, and the documentation that they gave me was 100% different than the reality of the product, right? I mean, so it's like somebody going to Formula One, and they got a Ferrari on the racetrack, and they said, just before you start the gate, they said, well, listen, it's got an old Opel engine in it. It doesn't have a Ferrari engine. I just want to let you know. And by the way, it's not 780 horsepower. It's about 110,
Right.
I was like, so make sure that what they have, that what they say is what they have, right? Because you can't, there's one thing, fake it to make it. And I'm okay. The self-fulfilling prophecy, that's okay. But what I suggest for the companies that works a lot is take a PowerPoint presentation and use that to do your customer development to see if people want to buy it. You know what I mean? Are you interested in this? And what I do is I take my iPhone and I put it on a stand, and I had my billionaire partner, David Yang, who's my partner in Eva. He and I went down the streets in Palo Alto. He's Armenian Chinese living in the US from Russia. He's actually Russian citizen too. And we would go down the street and we'd pull people off on a cafe. What do you think of this presentation? I didn't have any product, but before I even thought about building it, I wanted to see if they think maybe even a touch that they're interested in it. And if they said, oh, they're interested, well, what do you like? And then what I did is I put it there and I gave that to my engineers so they understood how to tweak the product. And then what I did, I said, this is Gary's rules, right? get 100 people, go down. And I know it's not easy, but oh yeah, I can do it. But listen, when you have to interview 100 people, it's not easy. Seriously not easy. But I got 100 people and I got back and I gave them feedback. And guess what? Now we're one of the top 7 HR tech companies in the world, right? And those are the kind of things that keep it simple. And if they follow that, and if they have, the other thing as an investor, people say, oh, I'm going to get into this early stage company without any revenue. My standpoint, Gary's rules, I say get $500,000 in revenue from wherever they are in the region. I know that they're ready to go forward then. From my own perspective, they're 80% there. 20% maybe no, but 80% there. $250,000 even. And if you do that, the chance that I'm going to lose money is a lot less. And that's what it's all said and done. I know when I did my startup, we've had thousands of people on the accelerator, thousands of companies through it. And we're very fortunate because 34% of our companies got funded. Very, very fortunate. I had the first accelerator in Russia. And people said, oh, first American can't do it, living in Russia. How can that be? Your enemies, you're this and that. And I said, well, I lived there 14 years. Right? I was like, right. My wife's Russian, my kids are Russian. I mean, it's not a big deal. But anyhow, I was there. And part of the challenges is to be able to look differently at things, view things differently, understand that we're all part of, I'm Greek, German, American, actually Greek, German, Egyptian American, actually.
Wow.
My grandmother's from Egypt, Greek from Egypt. But we have, so look for those teams. I write a lot. So one of my articles talks about diversity. So what do I look for? What are the challenges that companies have? One is, if you're diverse, you have a lot of different ideas and it really helps the team, really builds. The other thing is most startups don't think that a key part is intergenerational teams, right? People that have experience. Get people that have the context because people trust them, especially today. You got friends everywhere. So wherever it is in the world, whether it's China, billionaire Chinese friends, Hong Kong, Singapore, Russia, the US, it doesn't matter. But if you have those contacts, it's trust. What does that mean in terms of getting funded for a startup? It means the probability goes way up because trust is one of the most important things, right? And if you've had a success,
so you can actually say safely that in today's companies, in today's startups, it's not just the 20-year-olds. You got to have some 50-year-olds.
You got I mean, the thing is, Terrence, seriously. And it's like, this is simple stuff, right? And I'm a country boy. This is like, hello, if you're going to build something, you're going to build a house. You want somebody who's built houses before. You don't want to say, oh, let me try it myself. Why not have somebody to mentor you, to help you?
Right.
So
I mean, you're right there, Gary. And for those listening in or tuning in, even you heard it here on VCTV. Now, these are valuable advice. Take note. Do look at the key points that some of our investors are actually looking at, and tailor your business towards what the general audience or the general public wants to see. And just to kind of touch on the industry now, again, just going back, I think it's good that we shed some light a little bit on insurance and insurance tech as well, not only on the startups itself. What do you think? I mean, the both of you, of course, with the industry itself, can you give out like a wish list? What do you want to see with some of these companies, or what are the areas that you think they should really dive in? Just give out a quick summary there. We'd like to hear from you as well. Perhaps, Rishabh, you can go.
Yeah, sure. So if I understand the question correctly, what I essentially would like me to speak on is the wish list in the blockchain sector, or as in like a more of a general open in the blockchain space?
Yeah, within the blockchain.
Great. So the first, one thing which we are looking forward to is products that are easily explainable to the real masses. Because now, as you know, from earlier, the whole crypto regulatory regulations and compliances were in the were in the dark state. Now they're coming on. I mean, a lot of regulations have come out. We see how many we see different regulatory bodies around the world are working on making this a reality. Working on for framing rules and regulations for this space to progress ahead. So now there has to be now there's a point when the real mass adoption can happen, and that requires products that can be taken to the masses. In a way, it's a highly technical product. Blockchain is a highly technical. It's a difficult to understand technology. There are a lot of jargons out there which are being spoken, which are discussed. I mean, I really don't get that. Do you really expect people to understand their jargon and then to adopt, use that product? I don't think so. You have to make a product that is easily understandable by a user, which is as Gary really rightly mentioned, just go out, use that product within like 10 people in the nearest cafe you have. You will get an idea about what kind of product you're building. Before even going for the beta launch, just go for that cafe launch, understand the product that you're offering, understand whether that product is it easy to use? Is the design great? How do the people perceive the design? Are they happy with the interface? Are they happy with the UX and UI? So that's the kind of that's one thing which you are looking for. That is the products that can be taken to the masses. Now, second is the second that comes in the list is the DeFi. I mean, DeFi is just it's a $12 billion industry. When you talk about the total TVL, it's a lot more. The consumer loan market is $19 trillion globally. And up till now, what we have been able to achieve is just loans for trading and loans for and we haven't seen products that are actually offering loans and lending and borrowing for the people to use to buy real products on ground. We are working with a company which I might not be able to reveal right now, but yes, there are companies that are coming up with this product that are going to deliver consumer loans on lender for using collateralized consumer loans with the crypto assets. So that's again the second. Again, I mean, the end goal is real adoption. So that is a $19 trillion market, which is still unexplored when we talk about crypto and when we talk about taking a loan using a crypto assets. And the third, I think, again, I mean, yeah, these are the two major pivots. Rather, I mean, I would not call up specific sector within a sector. I would rather call them out specific pivots that we are looking for when we, going out for the next 6 months or 1 year of our investment plans. So yeah, that's the way I would like to keep it.
Nice. Thanks, Rishabh. Gary, how about yourself? Within the insurance and insurance tech industry, are there any low-hanging fruits?
Think about it. And again, it's my country boy mentality, right? So blockchain could make claims processing 3 to 5 times faster, 3 to 5 times. So, because processing claims has a tremendous amount of manual entry. So I would think as a property in casualty insurance company, I would look at that. Think about health insurance, right? And these companies have to realize that these opportunities exist. And I mean, seriously, they don't, right? I have a lot of conversations where I'm called in as an expert on artificial intelligence, and I hear a lot of stuff from very, very high level people. You would be surprised. It's like watching the movie Dumb and Dumber, It's like, and so I hear this all the time, but I mean, keep it simple, stupid. So with blockchain, medical records can be cryptographically secured. So I think that, they ought to be looking at that. I mean, security is a big deal. Hello, if I'm in a health insurance company, I would look at that and I would promote the interoperability and increase security. And this is like simple. Talk about, you need a tagline. This is sales, right? You need a tagline. So 3 to 5 times faster, interoperability and cryptographically secured, very secure. I would have the, as I would say over here, Fort Knox, right? Something that's entirely secure. And then fraud detection. I mean, hello, fraud detection is a big deal in insurance. And so I would make sure that I would have to have systems in place that would look for fraud detection. right? So whether I'm using some type of unsupervised or semi-supervised AI that's looking for patterns, right? Companies like Abby, right? Technologies that are out there that can actually go down through and look at those kind of things, because that's part of what it is. The other thing is robotic process automation. You know, being able to go down through these mundane tasks that the insurance companies do, make the system so that they can do them and we don't have to have manual labor do it. Use them for, you know, the high value tasks, not the low value tasks.
Absolutely.
There's one point which I would like to add to Gary. I mean, when we talk about the insurance products that, you know, that can be the really some, I mean, low hanging, when you talk about low hanging fruits, so collateral insurance, you know, so in the concept of lending and borrowing, for everyone who would like to know a little bit, so I would like to just share, shed some light on that. So when you talk about a lending and borrowing platform for borrowing something from a protocol, you need to keep your collateral. And when that collateral is at risk, because we have seen protocols failing miserably, and if that collateral is at the downside, there is always a downside, and to protect that downside, there could be, a collateral insurance product, and one of the companies that is working on that is Opine. So Opine is one of the products that is a company that is building a product for collateral insurance. So that protects the traders and users from the downside of their collateral, and just by paying a premium amount, and that makes their funds safe, and thus increasing the adoptability and thus increasing the adoption of that platform. So yeah, that's collateral insurances, I think, would be is where like a lot of investors are looking out for, although that really needs a lot of scaling up. There are a lot of scaling up challenges there, but I think that's where a product has to be built to solve that challenge.
Thank you, Rishabh. Thank you, Terence. Thank you, Gary, for all those insights. This is our first panel on a new panel about insurance and InsurTech. We're going to cover more on coming weeks and days as we do. So we have a panel coming up at 8 p.m. It's on sustainability and impact investments. Gary, I'm going to talk to you there as well. So thank you so much. So before I go, I just want to know, Rishabh, what's your feedback about VCTV?
I think, VCT has been doing an amazing job. So I was just talking to a couple of people in the industry. There was a DeFi meet in India, and we were just talking about, creating awareness. And out of there were 50 people sitting over there, and I just mentioned about VCTV. I mean, I just mentioned that I recently was called for a panel discussion on VCTV, and I was happy to see that 40 of them out of 50 said, yeah, that's a great platform. You get so many insights from people from across the world and people from different industries. So the best part about VCTV is that it's more of a sector agnostic kind of a discussion where people from different industries come together to talk on a similar topic. So that gives you an insight, and as well as creativity, a diverse thought process, which is really required when you're talking about building some products or making investments in early stage companies. So yeah, I think VCTV has been doing a pretty amazing job, and kudos to you guys. Great work, keep it up, and I'm really looking forward to more of such sessions.
That's quite flattering. 40 out of 50 people knew us. Thank you so much, Rishabh, for sharing that. Awesome, fantastic. And obviously, I'm looking forward to have you back on the InsurTech session anywhere, in the future as well. Thank you.
Definitely.
Gary, what's your feedback about VCTV?
As always, it's just amazing. I just love being here. It has a family kind of feel, and quite frankly, I learn a lot of things and meet a lot of incredible people. I mean, I've been astronauts. I've met some of the richest people on the planet who many people don't know that are on the panel, but I happen to know them because I know their family holdings. It's just incredible. So this is the way of the future. And it's a great time that this was set up when it was, because it gives a conduit for people to have hope and keep up to date of what's happening in the market, and to be able to meet investors, to meet incredible startups, and of course, to meet you and Terence. So it's great. And this is the future. I mean, this is, at the time, I remember, because I was in the beginning too. And when this pandemic started, people weren't sure how to react. They were nervous, etc. But this gave a real platform to be able to create some solidarity and hope and information sharing. So it's great.
Fantastic. Thank you all for the time today and the insights today. So again, I have a session coming up with Gary and many other speakers on impact and sustainable investments. Do tune in at 8 p.m. Singapore. The link is featuring on my LinkedIn, on my Facebook, everywhere actually. And thank you so much for the panel today. And thank you, Terence, for your co-moderation. I really, really had an awesome time with you. And yes, until then, have a good day. Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.